Hi guys, Dr. Lili here with my Pocket Pediatrician. So I've been putting my kids on their bikes and scooters and chasing them with my jogging stroller instead of driving to the pool this summer. We run on a trail through the woods, have to cross streets with cars that go fast, and while they love it, the other day I was thinking about how many safety hazards I consider every time we do this. We start off with the bike helmets and the sunscreen. I also have to get bug spray because we're in a Lyme endemic area and we don't want ticks. I talk about road safety, and then obviously there's the pool where I constantly have to supervise all 4 of my kids because I'm terrified of one of them drowning. The other day I was trying not to pass out as I was trying to catch up to my oldest son on his bike. So I started to figure out what my top 5 safety concerns would be for the summertime. I was thinking about kids I'd seen burned on hot grills. I was thinking about fireworks injuries. I considered alcohol poisoning from kids getting into Jello shots at neighborhood barbecues. And then I started to feel like I was losing my mind. So I decided to get help from some of my colleagues. I pulled a couple of pediatrician groups I'm in, so this is totally unscientific and not real research, but I did get 856 votes. Some for things I wasn't even thinking about, like dehydration, heat stroke, and playground injuries. So here you go. Here are my top 5 summer safety tips as voted on by a bunch of random pediatricians who all want to keep your kids safe and healthy this summer. Number 5, fireworks. Even though there's really only a week or two when people are messing around with fireworks, I think many of us have seen some pretty devastating injuries. In 2016, there were over 11,000 firework injuries reported. I go into more detail in my fireworks safety video, but did you guys know those cute little sparkler sticks get to over 1,000 degrees? And people give them to toddlers. They do make for some adorable pictures, but all of us have seen enough eye injuries, severe burns, and disfiguring injuries that we pediatricians generally try to keep our kids as far away as possible, and we hope you will too. Number 4, leaving kids in hot cars. This particular tragedy didn't even occur to me at first. I have 4 very loud kids, and I work nights when they're usually sleeping, so it would be pretty tough for me to accidentally leave them all in the car. However, 42 children died in hot cars last summer. It's not a lot, but I believe we can all agree it's 42 kids too many. The most common scenario is that a parent deviates from the usual routine, is supposed to drop a child off at daycare or somewhere and forgets, goes into the autopilot mode, drives directly to work, the kid falls asleep, and the parent accidentally leaves the child in the car. Even with the windows cracked or open, cars can heat up very quickly. If it's 80 degrees out, your car can jump to 95 within about 10 minutes of turning it off. Within an hour, the temperature inside the car can reach 140. It was 106 degrees here today, and my dog had a hard time walking on the pavement. My kids were miserable. I can't imagine 140 degrees. Children also absorb heat more quickly and can't cool off by sweating as much as adults do. They can't unbuckle themselves, remove their clothing, or unlock doors to get themselves out. So as a parent, what can you do? If you or your spouse change your routine, do something. Put a phone or a briefcase near your child so you don't walk into the office without checking the back seat. If your daycare is 15 minutes away from your home, set an alarm for 15 minutes into your commute so you remember to drop off your child. My husband's friend actually pulled into the office one day with his 16-year-old son in the back seat. As he parked the car, the kid said, "Dad, you were supposed to drop me off at school 40 minutes ago." His dad drove straight to work because he simply forgot his son was in the car, and his son wasn't paying attention either. It's very, very easy to forget. We are creatures of habit, so find a way to remind yourself so that you never have to experience that tragedy. Now, are you ready? Because number 3 may surprise you. Number 3, bike helmets. For those of us who work in the pediatric emergency department, it's a no-brainer. My kids have lived their whole lives knowing if they're on wheels, they have a helmet on, no discussion. On average, about 600 kids per day are injured on their bikes. That's about 220,000 injuries per year in the United States. About 11% of those are traumatic brain injuries, and most of these head injuries can be prevented or greatly reduced by wearing a helmet. Boys aged 10 to 14 are at greatest risk for a head injury because that group tends to wear helmets the least. You know, I don't get too worked up about scraped knees or even some minor fractures, but brain injuries can change your entire life, and it's so easy to reduce your risk by wearing a helmet. Many states or counties have helmet laws in place, often for kids 15 and under. Parents can be subject to fines and/or charges if their children are not wearing helmets, so learn your local laws. Whether you live in an area with laws or not, find a helmet your kid likes and will wear. Wear one yourself to model good behavior. Make sure your helmet is properly fitted and, most importantly, on your child's head. Number 2, sunburns. This is a big one this year. For the last couple of years, there have been some groups out there saying that sunscreen isn't safe, that it can cause skin cancer, and that it can cause endocrine disruptions. I actually made a video about it last summer that explained these studies came from feeding rats large quantities of sunscreen or putting it on mice and then intentionally burning them. While it could be concerning, there's not any real reason to think that putting sunscreen on your skin would do the same thing. This year, the FDA actually published a study of 24 adults showing that applying very large quantities of sunscreen very frequently will cause levels of chemical sunscreens to rise in the bodily fluids. We don't know the significance of this study yet. There is a deadline of November 2019 for manufacturers to provide safety data on their sunscreens. Until then, we pediatricians still want to emphasize that sun protection is very, very important. Damage from the sun to your child's skin causes wrinkling, age spots, freckles, moles, but most importantly, skin cancer. Sun exposure at early ages can be very damaging for your children. If you're worried about the chemical sunscreens, then use a mineral-based one because there haven't been any concerns about the mineral sunscreens that I know of. These are the thicker white ones like zinc oxide and titanium dioxide. Also, be smart with your clothing, hats, sunglasses, and long sleeves and pants can help. Bring an umbrella or a tent to the beach. Avoid those peak hours for the sun between 10 and 4 p.m. We pediatricians want you to be smart about this summer and make sure your children are protected. So what's our number one concern for your child's safety this summer? What are hundreds of pediatricians most worried about? Here comes our number one worry about child safety for the summer. Number one, drowning and swim protection. You probably saw this one coming. Many pediatricians have been personally affected after caring for a young child who drowned. There are several children I still think about years and years later. It's the number one cause of accidental death in children ages 1 to 4. The news has been full of celebrities' children who have drowned this summer. I've been at the pool an average of 6 days a week with my 4 kids for the last 8 weeks, often twice a day since my big 2 children are doing swim team and my little 2 are obsessed with the pool but they can't swim during the swim team practices. I have an entire video I made last summer devoted to swimming pool safety. One of the biggest misconceptions out there is that you can use swim lessons to drown-proof your child. A lot of people buy into the idea that if their toddlers know how to swim, then they're safe. This is so untrue. The 2 most important things you can do are 1, provide constant parental supervision from a non-distracted, sober adult around any body of water, and number 2, have a 4-sided fence around any pool. This doesn't just mean that your yard is fenced in, but that if a child were to walk out your back door, he or she couldn't access the pool directly. There should be a gated, unclimbable fence that's at least 4 feet tall around the pool itself with nothing nearby that can make the fence climbable, like lawn furniture or ladders or anything else. This is really important for vacation rentals for the summer and for visiting family. If there's not a fence around the pool, I'd consider staying elsewhere. But if you can't, you can get alarms for the doors and the windows that can be very loud. So if your child were trying to exit the home and head towards a body of water, you'd be alerted at least. The parental supervision portion is crucial. When I'm at the pool, my phone's in my bag and I'm in the water with my kids. The AAP recommends touch supervision for young children. That means you're close enough to reach out and touch them in the water and grab them should anything go wrong. They don't recommend rafts, floats, pool noodles, water wings, or anything that can easily come off or that your child can fall off. This year, my kids are all much stronger swimmers than last year, but it's so much scarier for me because now they're braver and they want more independence. I'm basically doing head counts the entire time we're at the pool. Remember, drowning is often silent. Your child isn't going to be splashing around and calling for help. He or she may just sink quietly to the bottom of the pool. Also, drowning can occur in only a few inches of water. It's not always at pools either. Drownings happen in bathtubs, kiddie pools, and even mop buckets. As much as I'd love to have a drink in my hand and be scrolling social media at the pool or reading a good book at the beach, I know I have quite a few more years of constant parental supervision ahead of me. This year, I found some ways to make it more fun. We're playing games like Pickle and Purple Penguin. I'm challenging my kids to races. I even put on a green tutu and swam against them in our fun swim team meet. And to be honest, we're all really having a blast. So what do you think? Would this list line up with your top 5? I'd still like to see something about ticks and Lyme disease, but maybe that's more regional. Let me know what your top 5 would be. Comment below. Don't forget to hit that little red subscribe button and let me know what you think. This is Dr. Lili with my Pocket Pediatrician, hoping you have a safe and fun summer. Thanks for stopping by.
When the doctor says my child has a condition, I'll learn more at my Pocket Pediatrician.